A small village, blanketed by a heavy layer of snow, lies in the shadow of a devastating conflict. The once cozy homes, full of life and laughter, now stand as silent ruins. The streets are burdened with mud and snow, bearing witness to the daily struggle of the few residents who remain. Where the joyous chime of church bells used to echo through the air each Christmas, there is now only silence, reflecting the sorrow of a community lost in despair. Each face tells a story of pain, loss, and a faint hope that seems to dwindle with every passing day. Among the survivors is Clara, a young girl with bright, determined eyes and a heart overflowing with courage. Orphaned at a tender age, she lives caught between fragmented memories of better times and a harsh reality that demands resilience. Clara spends her days helping the elderly and frail, gathering firewood to warm freezing homes or sharing scraps of what little she has. Despite her hardships, she carries a spark of faith, a longing for something greater, something that can transform the darkness around her into light. Christmas in the village is no longer what it used to be. The trees, once adorned with ribbons and candles, now stand bare, frozen by the merciless winter. Yet Clara, with her small acts of kindness, tries to rekindle the true meaning of the season in the hearts of the villagers. She believes, even if she doesn't fully understand, that Christmas holds a special power, a power to change lives, bring healing, and restore what has been lost. One day, while assisting an elderly woman in patching a torn blanket, Clara overhears something that ignites her curiosity. An old villager, her face lined with years of hardship, murmurs about an ancient legend of flowers that never fade. Though the tale is vague, the way she speaks of these flowers suggests they hold a kind of magic, a hope that can endure even in the harshest conditions. The idea takes root in Clara's mind. What could these flowers be? Why does no one else in the village seem to care about this legend? Was it just an old story, or was there truth hidden in those words? Driven by a mix of curiosity and a yearning for hope, Clara decides she must learn more. She knows the answers aren't in the muddy streets of the village, but somewhere beyond, perhaps in the vast forest that surrounds their small world. Snow falls gently that evening, and the stars glimmer as if watching over Clara, encouraging her resolve. Despite the pain and misery around her, she feels deep within her soul that this Christmas will be different. A quiet force, a still voice inside her, tells her that she has a special role to play, even if she doesn't yet fully understand what it is. Clara spends the following days discreetly gathering information. She asks the few people who still remember the legend of the flowers that never fade. While some laugh at her naivety, others encourage her, saying that rumors suggest these flowers might be found in deep clearings within the forest, but that no one dares to search for them because of the cold and the lurking dangers. As Christmas Eve approaches, Clara's determination grows stronger. To her, the legend is more than just a story. It's a chance to reignite hope in the village. It's a calling to something greater than herself. And so, on December 24th, she decides it's time to act. Leaving behind the relative safety of the village, Clara ventures out alone, unaware that her journey will mark the beginning of a miracle that will transform not only her life, but the destiny of everyone around her. On Christmas Eve, the first rays of dawn filter through the frosted windows of the village, but Clara is already preparing for her journey. With a patched-up coat that barely keeps out the biting cold, she steps out into the snow-covered world. The forest looms in the distance, its tall, bare trees shrouded in a haunting beauty. For a moment, Clara hesitates, her breath visible in the frigid air. The path ahead is uncertain, and she knows the dangers that could await her. Yet, her heart is resolute. Something deep within urges her forward, a flicker of hope that refuses to be extinguished. As she enters the forest, the quiet envelops her. The snow crunches softly under her boots, the only sound breaking the stillness. The branches above glisten with frost, forming intricate patterns that sparkle like diamonds in the dim light. Clara whispers to herself, sometimes praying to God, sometimes simply voicing her thoughts. She speaks of her longing for the village to be joyful again, for the people to remember the true spirit of Christmas, and for a miracle that could transform their despair into hope. The deeper she ventures, the more the forest seems alive, as if it listens to her words. Clara notices small details, a bird perched on a branch, a faint rustling of leaves beneath the snow. She feels a strange connection to this place, as though it holds secrets meant only for her. Despite the beauty surrounding her, the cold gnaws at her fingers and toes, and her empty stomach growls in protest. But Clara presses on, drawing strength from her unwavering belief that this journey has a purpose. Hours pass, and the forest grows darker as thick clouds gather overhead. Snow begins to fall more heavily, and the path ahead becomes harder to discern. Clara's body aches, and her resolve wavers. She falls to her knees, her hands trembling as she clasps them together in prayer. "God," she whispers, "if you are listening, please guide me. I don't know if I have the strength to go on, but I trust you." In that moment, a faint light catches her eye, barely visible through the swirling snow. Clara rises, her curiosity piqued, and moves toward the glow. The light leads her to a small clearing in the heart of the forest, where the snow seems untouched. There, amidst the whiteness, stands a single flower, vibrant and alive. Its petals shimmer with colors that shift in the light, golden, crimson, and pure white, blending harmoniously as if painted by divine hands. Clara gasps, her breath catching in her throat. She has never seen anything so beautiful, so radiant. The flower exudes warmth, a stark contrast to the freezing air around her. Overwhelmed by a mixture of awe and emotion, Clara falls to her knees before the flower. Tears stream down her cheeks, not from sadness but from a profound sense of wonder. She feels as though she is in the presence of something sacred, something far beyond her understanding. The flower seems to pulse with life, as if it holds the essence of hope itself. In that moment, Clara knows she has found what she was searching for, even if she doesn't fully comprehend its meaning. As she reaches out to touch the flower, Clara feels a wave of peace wash over her. It's as if all her fears, doubts, and exhaustion are momentarily lifted. She gently cradles the flower in her hands, its stem surprisingly sturdy despite its delicate appearance. Though she longs to keep it for herself, something inside her tells her that this flower is not meant to be hers alone. Its beauty and power must be shared. Clara resolves to bring the flower back to the village and offer it at the church altar as a gift to the Christ child. She believes it is the only place worthy of something so extraordinary. With her heart filled with a renewed sense of purpose, she stands, clutching the flower close to her chest. The journey has only just begun, and she knows the road back will be fraught with challenges. Yet Clara feels stronger than ever, her faith bolstered by the miracle she has just witnessed. The forest seems to guide her as she begins her return journey. The once intimidating trees now feel like silent guardians, watching over her with a quiet reverence. Every step Clara takes is careful, deliberate, as she protects the precious flower in her hands. The weight of her mission settles on her shoulders, but it is not a burden. It is a calling, one she feels honored to fulfill. The snow continues to fall, covering her tracks as she moves through the forest. Clara is alone, but she does not feel lonely. She senses a divine presence surrounding her, walking alongside her. As the village comes closer into view, the light of the flower seems to grow brighter, as though it anticipates the role it is about to play. Clara's heart swells with hope and gratitude. Even as the cold bites at her skin and her body cries out for rest, she whispers softly, "Thank you, God, for showing me the way." Clara steps out of the forest as the snowstorm intensifies. The path back to the village is treacherous, with biting winds that pierce through her thin coat and snow that piles higher with every passing moment. The flower in her hands glows faintly, offering a small yet comforting warmth. Her steps are slow and labored, each one a battle against the elements, yet Clara's resolve never falters. She whispers prayers under her breath, asking God for strength to carry out her mission. The once familiar landmarks of the village outskirts are now obscured by the swirling snow, making it difficult for Clara to navigate. Her small frame shivers, and exhaustion begins to take its toll. She nearly stumbles several times, clutching the flower tightly to her chest to protect it from the icy wind. Despite her weariness, Clara presses on, her heart anchored by a single thought. The flower's light could bring hope to her village. She cannot let them down, no matter the cost. At one point, Clara collapses to her knees, the snow cushioning her fall. Her breaths come in ragged gasps, and her body feels heavy, as though it might betray her will. Tears well in her eyes, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of her journey. For a fleeting moment, doubt creeps into her mind. Can a child like her truly make a difference? But just as despair threatens to take hold, she feels a gentle warmth radiate from the flower in her hands. It's as if it is encouraging her, reminding her of her purpose. Gathering her strength, Clara rises once more. Her small figure is a stark contrast against the vast, unforgiving landscape, yet she walks with a determination that seems larger than life. As she gets closer to the village, the storm begins to relent, the winds calming slightly. The glow of the flower seems to pierce through the darkness, guiding her steps. Each flicker of light feels like a divine reassurance that she is on the right path. When Clara finally reaches the edge of the village, her legs are trembling and her cheeks are flushed from the cold. She pauses for a moment, taking in the sight of the place she calls home. The streets are quiet, the houses dark and lifeless. A heaviness lingers in the air, a stark reminder of the sorrow that has gripped the community for so long. Clara takes a deep breath and moves forward, her destination clear: the village church. The church, a humble stone building at the center of the village, stands as a solemn reminder of what once was. Its doors are slightly ajar, allowing a faint light to spill out into the snow-covered ground. Clara pushes them open, stepping inside with quiet reverence. She is greeted by the sight of villagers huddled together in silence, their faces etched with fatigue and hopelessness. Some glance at her with mild curiosity, while others hardly notice her presence. Clara hesitates for a moment, clutching the glowing flower to her chest. She feels the weight of their despair and wonders if they will understand what she has brought. But the doubt fades as she remembers why she embarked on this journey. Slowly, she begins to walk down the aisle, her footsteps echoing softly against the stone walls. All eyes gradually turn toward her as the faint glow of the flower catches their attention. When Clara reaches the altar, she kneels, carefully placing the flower on its cold surface. The vibrant petals seem to radiate against the starkness of the stone, their colors vivid and alive. Some of the villagers murmur among themselves, unsure of what to make of the scene. Others watch in silence, their expressions a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. Clara bows her head and begins to pray, her voice a soft whisper that carries through the stillness of the room. As she prays, Clara asks for a miracle, not for herself but for her village. She prays for warmth in their hearts, for the return of joy and faith, and for the hope that Christmas once brought to their lives. Her sincerity is palpable, and the villagers can feel it, even if they don't fully understand. Slowly, the church falls silent, the weight of Clara's words settling over everyone present. Minutes pass, and then something extraordinary happens. The flower begins to glow brighter, its light filling the room with a warm, golden radiance. The cold air dissipates, replaced by a comforting heat that spreads through the church. The villagers gasp, their eyes wide with wonder as they witness the transformation. The glow seems to carry an unspoken message, a reminder of the divine love that transcends all hardships. The light extends beyond the church, illuminating the village in a soft, golden hue. Trees that had stood bare for years begin to sprout leaves, and the heavy snow seems to glisten with renewed beauty. The faint sound of bells fills the air, not from human hands, but as if the heavens themselves are rejoicing. The villagers, overwhelmed by the sight, begin to weep tears of joy. For the first time in years, they feel hope stirring in their hearts. Clara remains kneeling before the flower, her head bowed in gratitude. She doesn't need to speak. Her actions have said more than words ever could. The villagers, moved by her faith and sacrifice, begin to gather around her. Some reach out to touch her shoulder, others join her in prayer. The miracle has united them, rekindling a spirit of togetherness that had long been lost. As the golden light radiates from the flower, the atmosphere inside the church transforms entirely. The villagers, who had entered the sacred space burdened by despair, now stand bathed in a warmth they can scarcely comprehend. The once dim and cold stone walls glow with an ethereal brilliance, and the air itself seems lighter, filled with a sense of serenity and wonder. The silence that follows Clara's prayer is not one of emptiness, but of awe, as if the entire world is holding its breath in reverence for what is unfolding. The flower's glow intensifies, casting intricate patterns of light that dance across the faces of the gathered villagers. Each person feels something unique, but equally profound. An elderly woman, who had lost her family to the hardships of the war, suddenly recalls the joy of her childhood Christmases. A young father, who had feared he could no longer provide for his children, feels a surge of courage and determination. Even those who had grown cynical and bitter find their hearts softening, as though a veil of darkness is being lifted from their souls. Outside the church, the miracle begins to ripple through the village. The glow emanating from the flower spills out of the church doors, spreading across the snow-laden streets and into the hearts of every home. The barren trees, stark reminders of the harsh winter, begin to transform. Buds of green emerge, followed by vibrant leaves and blossoms that seem out of place in the cold. The sight astonishes those who peek out their windows, their expressions shifting from disbelief to joy. The church bells, silent for years, begin to chime of their own accord. Their deep, resonant tones echo through the village, carrying a message of renewal and hope. The sound draws more villagers to the church, their curiosity and longing for solace leading them to the source of the light. Families gather together, their faces illuminated not just by the glow of the flower, but by the rekindled hope in their hearts. Even the youngest children, too young to understand the full weight of the moment, laugh and play in the warmth that now fills the air. Back inside the church, Clara remains kneeling before the flower, her hands clasped in quiet prayer. She feels a profound peace unlike anything she has ever known, though she does not fully comprehend the magnitude of the miracle unfolding around her. She knows that her journey and her offering have brought this moment to life. Tears stream down her face, not from sadness, but from overwhelming gratitude. She whispers softly, "Thank you," as if speaking directly to the divine presence she feels so deeply. The villagers, moved by Clara's act of faith, begin to join her in prayer. Some kneel beside her, while others remain standing, their heads bowed in reverence. The collective prayers rise like a single voice, filling the church with a harmony that feels as miraculous as the light itself. Those who had once doubted the power of Christmas now find themselves believing again, not just in the season, but in the enduring strength of faith and community. As the light reaches its peak, it seems to linger for a moment, as if imprinting itself on the hearts of everyone present. Then, slowly, it begins to soften, leaving behind a gentle glow that continues to warm the church. The flower remains on the altar, its petals still vibrant and alive, but now it feels like a quiet symbol of the miracle rather than its source. The villagers look at one another, their expressions a mixture of amazement and newfound resolve. They understand now that the miracle is not just in the flower, but in the faith and sacrifice that brought it to them. For the first time in years, the church is filled with the sound of voices singing. The villagers, led by Clara's courage, raise their voices in hymns of praise and gratitude. The melodies are raw and heartfelt, carrying the weight of their struggles and the joy of their renewal. Some villagers weep openly, their tears a release of years of pent-up sorrow. Others hold their loved ones close, savoring the moment as a gift they never thought they would receive. The miracle doesn't end with the flower's light. In the days that follow, the village begins to transform in tangible ways. The sense of unity among the people grows stronger, inspiring acts of kindness and generosity that had long been absent. Neighbors who had once kept to themselves now come together to share resources, rebuild homes, and support one another. The church becomes a hub of activity, not just for worship, but for planning and collaboration, as the villagers work to restore their community. Through it all, the flower remains on the altar, a constant reminder of the extraordinary events of that Christmas Eve. It becomes a symbol of hope, faith, and the power of small acts of courage to create profound change. Visitors from neighboring villages come to see the miraculous flower, bringing their own prayers and stories of hardship. The church, once a quiet and forgotten place, becomes a beacon of light for all who seek solace and inspiration. Clara, though humbled by the attention she receives, remains quietly reflective. She does not see herself as a hero, but as a simple girl who followed her heart and trusted in something greater than herself. She watches with quiet joy as her small offering brings healing and hope to so many. And though her journey was difficult, she would not change a single moment of it. For Clara, the miracle is not just in the flower, it is in the transformation of the village and the hearts of its people. The glow of the flower, much like the light of Christmas, reminds us that even in the darkest moments, faith can illuminate the way forward. And as the villagers rebuild their lives, they carry with them the memory of a young girl's faith and the miraculous flower that changed everything. As the days passed after the miraculous Christmas, the village transformed, not just in its appearance, but in the hearts of its people. Clara's journey taught us that even the smallest acts of faith and courage can lead to extraordinary change. The flower, though extraordinary in its beauty and light, was a reflection of the faith Clara carried within her, a faith that brought hope to an entire community. This story reminds us that miracles often begin with a single step of belief, a willingness to trust in something greater than ourselves. Clara's faith wasn't perfect or certain, but it was genuine. She ventured into the unknown, guided by hope, and found a light that would inspire everyone around her. In our own lives, we may not always see the path ahead, but when we hold on to faith, we can discover hope in the most unexpected places. Now, I want to hear from you. What does this story inspire in you? Have you ever experienced a moment when your faith or the faith of someone else brought light into a dark situation? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read your stories. If this story touched your heart, there's more to explore. Our ebook, Luz na Escuridão, Encontrando Esperança no Natal, Light in the Darkness, Finding Hope at Christmas, dives deeper into themes of faith, hope, and overcoming life's challenges. It's filled with insights, spiritual practices, and reflections that can help you strengthen your connection with God and find peace, especially during uncertain times. It's more than just a book. It's a guide to finding light in your life when everything seems dark. If that resonates with you, take the next step. You'll find the link to the ebook pinned in the comments below. If it feels right, explore it. It might be the resource you need to experience your own transformation this holiday season. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who could use a little hope in their life. And if you want to continue this journey of inspiration, click on the video appearing on your screen now. I think you'll find it just as uplifting. Thank you for watching and for being part of this incredible community. May your Christmas season be filled with miracles, light, and the faith to believe in something greater. See you in the next video.